So like, say there's now like a colony on the moon. What would like the transportation like? There's all these people on the moon and there's all these people on Earth. What's the transportation looking like between the Earth and the moon?
This is where it gets fun because when you're on the moon, there's a lot of things you don't have to worry about. Like you don't have to worry about gravity's a lot less of a problem, and you don't have to worry about the atmosphere, which is so massive. So whereas there's this idea of single stage to orbit vehicles on Earth, and they kind of look like planes sometimes because you got to like fly them up, and it takes a lot of energy, and it would be really nice if it didn't, but it does on Earth. But for the moon, rockets are all about like getting as much like tons. The number that matters is like mass to low Earth orbit, and I guess per like energy used or something. And so we have to just expend so much energy to get it out through the atmosphere, because you can't go too fast because then the atmosphere like pushes against you too hard, and you can't go too slow or else you'll never escape Earth's gravity. And so we have to go like up into the side to like start orbiting. So so what we do on Earth, I guess, is like we try to stage 0 is like the launch pad, right? And so we try to like put as much as we can into that. We try to like light the engines using the launch pad. You try to like push fuel into the rocket until the very last second, even when the engines have started firing, just so you can bring the most energy with you. And so on the moon, we can do a lot more with the stage 0, like with stuff that isn't the rocket.
Wait, did I just misunderstand you? They're fueling the rocket before it's
Yes.
actually left.
So
Oh, is that why the like tower doesn't move away until
yes,
like
yes.
ignition?
And you
That's
see like
really
the
cool.
quick
That makes
disconnect arm,
sense.
and like it
Yeah.
like falls off. Like
Wait, and
Wow. So that's just that. So you're gaining that much energy that's
Yes.
dispensed just to get it the first couple
yes,
feet and
because
get
like
the first
those
little bit of
first
speed.
feet are
Yeah.
like use so much to
Yeah.
just
oh,
Okay.
so okay,
Going
okay,
from
okay.
0 to like a little bit.
While it's moving, and it's already used fuel. You're putting more fuel in.
Yes.
Okay, that's
That's
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And so this stage 0 idea on the moon can get us so much further. So like, yes, we'll start initially probably with just like what we think of as normal rockets, but there's no point in putting the energy to get to orbit in the rocket when you could have it on the moon. And so what that might look like, so orbital velocity for the Earth is like 11.2 kilometers per second. It's pretty fast. For the moon, it's like 2.5 kilometers
And
per
that's
second.
the speed that you need to be able to escape Earth's orbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like when you're orbiting, like you're always falling, and so you got to go forward more than you fall to like stay in orbit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot less around the moon
Right.
because
Less
they have
gravity.
less gravity. Yes.
Wait, so is that like the ISS speed? Or
Yeah,
I can't
so the
remember.
ISS, yeah,
It's like
goes-
17,000 miles an hour or something, right?
Yeah, that
Or-
sounds right. But yeah, it would have to be going orbital velocity, and the ISS loses a little bit of height each year because like
Right.
the atmosphere never really ends.
Right.
Like there's still some parts per million up there. All right, but back to stage 0. So what stage 0 might look like on the moon is the one idea that I really like, at least, is imagine like train tracks.
Oh, like maglev?
Yeah, and well, so it could be, but the idea isn't like that. Doesn't really matter. The idea is that you speed it up to 2.5 kilometers per second on the moon, which isn't going to be hard if you have a flat surface with wheels and like you have train tracks to keep you going straight because there's no air pushing against you. And then you just give it a little like little push up, and now you're going orbital velocity like 1 meter above the moon, and then you just like go up a little bit, and like you're already in orbit. And this rocket
That's
hasn't
really
used
cool.
any of its fuel.
Wow.
How
Wait, so
does it
there,
initially get up to speed though?
So
from the
you just
tracks.
have to use like some power.
Oh,
but
like
like
that-
that's
like
Like if you
belongs
had like
to
a sled that was still
Okay.
connected. And
Gotcha.
then
Yes.
so like a
you
powered rail or
slingshot it.
something.
some power source on
Yes.
the moon that's
Yeah.
not.
yes, but some like initial cost that isn't. Once this infrastructure gets set up, the idea is that like the cost of that energy being used isn't going to affect the ticket price of someone who's trying to ride this plane, because it's like the business that ferries you from low Earth orbit to the moon. Like they're going to recognize that once they set the system up, hopefully they don't raise the ticket prices to insane amounts, because like the actual trip from the low Earth orbit to low moon orbit, I guess, is like very cheap. And so hopefully that's what we end up like paying for.
Wait, but you were
So
saying
most of the expenses you're just saying from 0 to low Earth orbit, like from
Yeah,
Earth. to-
that's like always
yeah,
going
or
to be
yeah.
expensive. And so how you get that cost
Sorry,
down
Ben.
is by bringing like 200 people per trip. But
Yeah.
yeah. So what were you saying?
so you were saying like on the moon you just have some sort of like maybe rail system get it up to speed very easily because you don't have drag, but on Earth you do have drag. Is it just the same thing but just it just costs more like?
No, so Earth, we're always gonna do like straight up.
Okay, so that's not
rockets, yeah.
that's not gonna. Okay.
There's a company that they have this little package and they have this massive like gun and they try to like shoot things into orbit.
Have you seen spin launch?
I think that's what I'm
Spin
talking
launch
about.
is pretty
But
cool. Well, that's where it just spins it around.
oh,
up
okay,
until,
so
Yeah,
that's
spin launch is
that's
but
neat.
you can't put humans in there.
you definitely
Yeah, no.
can't.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, like the G's you pull
Yeah,
are
too
insane.
many
And have
Gs.
they actually gotten anything to orbit?
I think they might have. I think they've
I
done.
think they got close.
Yeah,
Willem,
okay.
can
Yeah,
you check on
let's
that?
get a
Yeah.
fact check on that.
I don't know, but even if they did, they can't put like 200 people in one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
They would become sauce.
Yes.
So it's about like efficiency, packing as many people into each trip.
To getting out of low Earth orbit, yes. And my idea with like if you speed something up on the moon to get it into orbit, once you're in low Earth orbit, it should be very cheap and simple to get from there to a place like the moon.
Does the moon have any atmosphere, or is there a little bit of gas? or is
There's
it-
like no, so like basically none. There's like stuff in space, but like solar radiation has long ago stripped away anything that was surrounding the moon. It's like when an asteroid crashes into the moon, some stuff's gonna get vaporized and some gravity is gonna leave some of the heavier stuff there. But solar radiation, the moon's magnetic pole just isn't strong enough to protect it. And so like there is no atmosphere. But it's why like Mars has like 7% of Earth's atmosphere, but it's still got something there because it's like big
Yeah.
enough to protect some of it.
So it's in kind of like an equilibrium where it can keep that much, or
I
is it? Or
actually
is it
don't
losing some?
think
Yeah.
this is like the limit of my knowledge, but
Yeah.
I think Mars is losing its atmosphere because
Okay.
Mars didn't used to be red. It used to look like Earth. Like
In
there used
what
to be
way?
oceans on Mars.
Yeah.